Before we get started, before I start the questions and ask you about your day, I wanted to give you something, a token of my appreciation, but also something that you ordered a long time ago. So, I have your sweater, your crew neck.
Oh, the color. It's better in person.
Yeah, this is actually probably one of my favorite sweaters, and I wouldn't want anyone else to have it but you. It's New Jersey. I know you're not going to school. You're going to another. We'll save that. But yeah, I want you to have this.
Thank you so much.
Wow.
It's better than my wildest dreams.
For sure. Yeah.
I'm just gonna keep it right here.
It's all good. As we roll into this, I wanted to ask you who you are and what'd you do today.
Yeah, that's a great question. I just had no idea that you were gonna ask that.
Right? Yeah, it surprises every guest that comes on here.
Well, my name is Samara, and I am a photographer. Right now, I am a barista, which is just a temporary thing, but I'm proud of that title. And I'm soon to be a student again. I was just a student, but I'm in a break period from that. I think we're always students, but a formal student.
Big facts.
A formal student again soon, but yeah, and that's who I am as far as titles go. I'm like, I don't know if any of that. I don't even know. And what I did today, I'm trying to think. I should have thought of this.
Please, you're fine. It's very natural.
I woke up this morning. I set my alarm for 6.
Okay.
And I got up at like maybe 6:45. that was bad. I was not supposed to do that. But I woke up and I got ready, and then I have 2 jobs right now, which you know that. But I sent a little text to the woman who I work for in the morning. I was supposed to do a little bit more for that in the morning. That's why I should have gotten up at 6. But she's very full of grace, so I did that this morning, and then I drove to work, to my job as a barista, and I worked there from like 8 till 1, and it was crazy. 2 people called out, so we were just making do. A lot of people that were like not happy with the situation, but there's also lots of grace there as well. So yeah, I worked there, and then I went home, I ate an apple, and then I came here, and then we unloaded your storage unit with your dad.
Yes.
And then we came here. And that's it. That's my day. It's honestly already a really good day.
No, it has been a great day. I was going to tell you that when we were leaving the storage, like, this has been a really good day for me. Just because your assistance and getting able to sit down and talk with you, because I've been wanting to do this for a really long time. So I'm glad that we were able to. Just because I really admire your work, and I admire your transparency. And just how you present your work, honestly. Like, Samara's an excellent portrait photographer, and your consistency too. Like, I always have guests on that I feel like I can learn from, and you're certainly one of those people. So I'm glad to sit down with you and talk. But yeah, how did you? I have a bunch of questions, but how did you like fall into photography? We'll keep it there for now. How did you fall into photography?
It's a good question. It's hard to pinpoint like an exact moment that I like fell in love with it and really like ran with it. But I was always a very visual kid. So like even when I was younger, I had like one of those little silver like Kodak like point and shoot cameras that I was like really into, and when I had a Tumblr, like when Tumblr was a thing, like I really wanted to be big on Tumblr. I wasn't big on Tumblr, but like I really wanted to. So that's when I like got into like, it was like I can't even call it product photography, but like it was like the like really highly saturated like photo of like a lip balm. Like that was like when that was when I first started, and then I kind of transitioned. That's like, I want to say it was like 2013, 2014 that I was like doing that, like, and seriously trying to make it into something on Tumblr. It never caught on. So I can't even, I feel like that's not even worth mentioning. And moving on. But that's when I like kind of started asking friends. Okay, now I feel like I've never really thought through the entire timeline. But that's when I started photographing like friends, just because I was like, hey, I'm like trying to get into this. And and this is to this day why I like prefer doing portraits like that. I'll do other things, but portraits are my favorite thing to do, of just being able to capture the essence of a person and seeing the reaction. That was the first thing that made me fall in love, because I am very like, I pick up on people's emotions pretty easily. So to see someone be able to see a photo of themselves and be like, I'm thinking of Morgan Herdman, who we went to high school with. She came like a little bit, she came in middle school, but she was one of the first people that I ever took photos of, and now I look at them, I'm like, ooh, like it's my style's really changed since 2013. But I remember seeing the way like she reacted to those photos of like, I feel so beautiful, like I really love these photos, I feel like you really captured me, and like it was kind of like a high, and I feel like I've been like chasing that feeling since, and it's just only evolved and like gotten more intense of like, it's more than just someone looking beautiful, but like feeling true. And at the time I didn't have the language for that, but I just really liked it. Like I liked how she responded to it, and I liked the process of it all, and I felt like there was so much freedom in it, to really collaborate with that person and see what they wanted out of the photos as well. And so since then I feel like I've just continued, and then I took film.
Gotcha. With 40 on?
With 40 on.
Shout out to 40 on, man. I hope you're watching this, bro.
Yeah.
I hope you're watching this, dog, because that man's class was an experience.
It really was. And like, it was hard.
Yes, it was very difficult.
I remember the number of times and that's what I think, ultimately it was hard, but it did make me better as a photographer. I think that was when I started taking it like seriously, where I was like doing fun stuff, and that was when I was like, shoot, there's like good and bad photography apparently. like he would be like, he'd look at a roll that I was so excited about and just be like, none of them, like reshoot. And I'd be like, okay. And like at the time I was really heartbroken, and still a little heartbroken for you. but I think that was really like the moment where I was like, oh, I enjoy even the smaller components of photography. Like I enjoy the tedious parts of this. I enjoy messing up and trying again, which I don't feel that way about like a lot of other things that I had done. And so that's when I was like, it doesn't feel like work to me. Like this class doesn't feel like work. It feels like I'm like doing what I'm created to do. So yeah, and I've been doing it since, just kind of.
Do you prefer film or digital?
Oh, I prefer film. My wallet prefers film.
Yeah, no, I 100%. I'm in the same boat with you. 40 ounce class, definitely. Film in general, like, it teaches you to appreciate the process because of the process. Yeah. But 40 on definitely will let you know if your shit is not hitting. Yeah. That's what majority of my experience in that class was. At the time, I remember I took it in a fall semester and I was playing football, and I was taking BART every day from Oakland to San Ramon. So I didn't have a lot of time, so a lot of my pictures were on the BART train. And wasn't he the truancy person as well?
Yeah. I think perhaps.
Yes.
He also had a twin brother that went
right,
there
actually.
that I couldn't differentiate.
No, me either. So it may have been his brother, honestly. But either way, like, I couldn't tell him, like, yo, like, I'm coming from Oakland. Like, I don't have time to. So that's why all my pictures were on BART. And I couldn't tell him that because if he's a truancy guy, like, I could get kicked out of school for not, you know what I'm saying, living in San Ramon. But yeah, he definitely like pissed me off a lot of times. Like, I'm like, and it like, but that made me like get better because it was like, I have to prove to this guy.
I was gonna say, you want to prove him wrong.
You know what I'm
like,
saying?
No, I'm good at this.
You feel me, bro? Like, yo, I'm not bad. Like,
and he'd pick other people's photos that you're like, why that one? Why not mine? Yeah.
But you know what I'm saying? Doesn't kill you, makes you stronger. So
yeah, truly.
Absolutely. I mean. Tell me, how did that experience at Cal in general, and then going up to Seattle afterwards, how did that make you who you are today as an artist, as a human being, Ask Samara Sorce.
Yeah. We talked a little bit about this, but we didn't go full into it. I think as an artist, something that is imperative to your work really having the impact that you want it to have is that like you're decisive about what you're doing. In order to be decisive about what you're doing, you need to be decisive about what your vision is, what you want, what your needs are as an artist, as a person first, all of those things first. And I think because if you don't have those things set in stone, like you're just pushed to the wind of like trends of, like you're not really able to really discern what
you find yourself taking rooftop pictures.
Yeah, like picture the like follow me too photo, like someone's holding the hand, like you're just recreating other people's art essentially, which to an extent is what art is in a lot of ways. But I think when I was at Cal and like when I first started in photography and even in the first years that I was in Seattle, I didn't know who I was, and I didn't know what I wanted from my art, and I didn't know what I wanted my art to accomplish. And so there was a lack of heart in what I was doing, and that's what made it not sustainable. I had deleted my photography Instagram like multiple times. I told you I didn't bring my camera for like 2 years, like a year and a half that I was there, because I was so overwhelmed by the culture of it and by others, which I shouldn't have felt threatened by other people's art, but I was like, oh, we're all doing the same thing, and like I'm just trying to be good. Wow. I just want to be good. I want to be validated. And I think that transition of just like opening the realm of people that I was interacting with and like becoming more uncomfortable more frequently, like which is something that happened in Seattle that wasn't happening as much at Cal. And like leaning into those experiences like truly helped me become more decisive about who I was and what I wanted to accomplish with my art. And then I could pick it back up, and then I feel like I fell in love with it a little with 40 On. I fell in love with it a little when I moved to Seattle and it was really pretty, but when it really turned into like what I would want to do. Oh,
thank you, Mom. Thank you.
You're in
it. Keep going. I'll get him.
But
you were talking about how
when I wanted to take it seriously, like when I really was like, this is my thing. This is like what I want to do, and I want to turn this into something, and I want to serve people with this. Like that's my calling. Like that didn't happen until late in the time I was in Seattle, which is like recent in the timeline, honestly.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I'll come back to that, but since we have some knockoff lumpia from Costco,
I would have never known.
How do you feel like Filipino culture or being a Filipino artist? Yeah. Where do you feel like that is in your art? Mm-hmm.
No, that's a really good question. I think that is like what I was just saying about like me not having that identity piece. That was what a huge part of what was missing in high school.
Gotcha.
Was that I didn't claim that as part of my identity because I was ashamed of it, because of the people I was around, because of, I mean, we were both there. Like that was not a time where you were praised for being different or standing out. That was definitely a time where you were reprimanded for that kind of behavior, for leaning into that side of yourself. So I think as I grow as an artist, like, and as a person, I've really I've really been trying to spend more time with my family and like learn in the ways that I can, because there's that sense of regret of like I lost those years when I was being a brat at the family parties, and like when I like told my mom not to make me that food, like I lost those years, but I just don't want to. I can't live life like that, you know. And so now, I've been taking a lot more pictures of my Lola. I've been spending a lot more time and hearing the stories. Me and my mom got really close at the start of. I hadn't like really lived since I went back and forth between my mom and my dad in high school. I hadn't gotten prolonged time with my mom, and this always makes me like a little emotional. But like, a silver lining of the pandemic was that I got to live with my mom for like a prolonged period of time when I was finishing school online, because my last quarter was online, and it was like in that time that like I just really got to like learn more about her story. And I was like, I can't believe I didn't know these things, but I was ashamed, like, and that's hard to say, but it's like I was ashamed of my culture because I was told that it was different and that was bad. And that experience and like just being loved by my Lola lives there too, and my tita, but just being loved by them and like held by them in that time like really helped me heal as a person. Like, and really now my art like is because of them. Like everything I do is because of them. Like what I'm doing next is because of them. Like I wouldn't exist, I wouldn't be here without the fight that they fought, you know. And so it is my art, you know, like everything I do, whether it's a photo of them or not, it's still for them ultimately.
No, that's what's up. That's real, man. This pandemic definitely has brought me closer to my family as well. And like I remember I went to New Jersey where like my father's side of the family migrated from the Philippines, and I think about how like the sacrifice that my Lolo like made to like come to the States, and like I'm just like literally left. It was just my aunt and my dad at the time that were born, or actually it may have been more of them, but anyways, like the fact that he literally left his children to come to the States for like 2 years first, like left them in the Philippines to like get his footing and then move the rest of the family there, is like, how can I complain about anything? You know what I'm saying? Like any hardship that I go through, with the internet especially, like how can I complain about anything when this man literally sacrificed time away from his family when they're young, and his wife moves to a completely different side of the world, you know what I mean, to like just for better opportunity for them. And it's like I really, now that he's passed on, rest his soul, like I definitely feel his presence, and I definitely feel like he's one of the reasons why I persevere the way that I do, and like have aspirations like I have, because of him, you know what I'm saying, and what he did for our family. But I definitely feel you on the like finding that after the fact, you know what I'm saying, in maturity and in getting more comfortable with yourself and your art and your art form, like to allowing space for that. And I feel you. Yeah.
It's like they're living on through us, you know, like we're their legacy. So we have to take that seriously. Absolutely. Before, that was not something that we were taking seriously. So, yeah.
Man. Tell me about the Philippines, though. Please, since you've been, you know what I'm saying? Take your time.
I just took a big bite.
Yes, please take your time.
A big bite. I'm going to chew it.
Commercial break. It's all good. Thrift virtually. You can find more dope articles of clothing, pieces from my personal collection there.
What? Bro, what are you...
I had to refrain from buying more.
And now back to your regularly scheduled program.
The first time I went to the Philippines, I think I was in like the 4th grade. 4th or 5th grade. And I think I didn't, because I was so whitewashed at the time, I think I didn't fully appreciate it. Because I was like, Mom, it's stinky. Mom, like, why? Like, it is so hot. Like, Mom. And I know that I was complaining a lot that first time that we went. but I did love seeing, I mean, I'm very much a people person. I loved seeing family. I loved that they that they were so excited to see us. Like, that was my first experience. But then we've been back a few times, and the last time we went was my senior year of high school. So after, and I haven't been back since, but after I graduated from Cal, then we went as like my senior trip. And that was like truly like one of the most fruitful experiences. Like, I still think about it all the time. I still think about going back all the time, or like being able to spend an extended amount of time there. Because it really is, I think, something that we really lack in America, is we have this very strong sense of individualism, but I don't think that's what we were created for. Like, I think there's a level of independence that's important, but that we were created, like, we all belong to one another, and that's something that I really feel when I'm there, is that I feel that with when I go stay at my Lola's and my mom's, like, I feel that there, but when you're there, it's like this sense of people belonging to one another and caring for each other, and the community, it's so vibrant. It's so and there's different places. So like Manila is like the city. So like there's some places there that like even kind of look reminiscent to here. I wouldn't say that super loosely. But then like out in the provinces, like it's very rural. And in those areas, you just see how the communities thrive and care for one another. I think that was something, like, I took some photos there. I don't think I've ever shared them, but I have them. I took some photos there that time that we went, because I was pretty into photography at that time. And I was showing a friend, and they had said something about like, oh, like, they live in such, like, are they sad, like, that they live like that? Like, and no. I think that we think that we have rich lives here because we have like rich lives here, but I think a lot of like we're missing out, and we have a lot to learn from how people live elsewhere.
It's a different riches, like how Bob Marley says, you know? Like, I've never been to the Philippines, but I've been to Jamaica, and visiting family there, and like realizing how they don't have the material means that we have, right? But they live their life so much richer on a experience level, and like and family, like, you know what I mean? Just like their values are so much, I mean, they're still that Western, like, wannabe, you know what I'm saying? But like
the influence.
Exactly. But there's definitely like, I feel like a more appreciation for life and the little things. And that's definitely something that we can learn. You know what I'm saying? And apply here in the States. That's dope though. I'm gonna need to see those pictures.
I'll have to dig them up.
It's good. It's good.
Archives,
most definitely. How was, tell me about your experience in Seattle though, like going to school up there and that time, like just learning more about yourself and separating yourself from that other friend group that you first had or whatever. Tell me about that. And then I also wanted to hear about, like, tell me about that first. Let me not get too ahead of myself here. I think very important context to Seattle was that I went to a private Christian school. And coming from Cal, like, even that, like, a lot of people who go to a private Christian school, well, there's like a pretty even split. That's people that are coming from other private Christian high schools, and then everybody else. Like, that's just like a natural progression. So you studied business there, though, right?
Yeah. So I was a business management major. I changed my concentration a bunch of times. It doesn't matter because that's not even what I'm doing now. I think that's important context of that. It was a heavily religious space, and I had been in... and also still a predominantly white space. Like, that's changing in that university. I worked in admissions, and I kind of saw a little bit of that change. there's a lot to say there, but I won't even go there. But that had an impact. So when I entered into the school, I think my first thought, and that was all I knew since coming from Cal, was like assimilate. Like, and in my head, as like a newly super devout religious person, I was like, this is better. See, like before I was like, this is just like a part of my story. I'm like, some of my family members don't even like know this part of my story. But like in high school, it was kind of like, okay, well now I'm not hanging out with the like, you know, I transitioned my friend group to be like more religious and upright from what I was doing before.
Interesting.
Yeah, and I thought that was so good. Like, you know, and there were certain good things about that experience of, you know, having different friends from different areas of high school. But going into this like university and being like, I need to be so committed to my religion. I need to be like these people who are also really devout to their religion. Like, that was what I came straight into, and I was just acting like them, going to the churches that they went to. That was a whole, like, the church scene that I entered into was like, some people I know are still in that exact scene that I'm talking about, so they'll know. But it showed me, like, in my trying to assimilate into that, I was like, I can't do this anymore. Like, this is too much. Like, I can't live my life constantly living to please people, because that is my number one, like, battle, I think, since I was young. Like, is trying to live to please others, and that's what I came into Seattle trying to do. And I think I came out of Seattle, like, really, that's what that transition was I started allowing myself to let people down and choose myself, which meant things like releasing like fundamental religion, which disappointed a lot of people, but like embracing my faith, like a sense of faith that is more broad, a sense of faith that I think accomplishes more, like, of what the community and world needs. But that transformation, like, required me to really be full out in it. And it was just weird because it was Seattle, and there was lots of things that we were doing out in the greater Seattle community, but it was also, I was a part of a very small bubble that really affected my experience. So I learned, I think that was like the biggest takeaway of Seattle for me. I met so many wonderful people there, at that school too, but just, it was like a breaking free of living a life that I think will be upright to others, that I think will be serving others when it's really not.
What do you feel like, what was that breaking point? What was it that made you start prioritizing yourself? What was it, an experience? Was it like an event that happened, or a relationship that made you that way, or
that's a good question.
I love finishing questions with
just making sure, just like, that's the end. No, I do. I think it was a culmination of multiple things. I do think that there is a place, like, when you live to please others, like, you will reach the end of your rope at some point. Like, you will. Like, it's not sustainable. And I think people can numb themselves to not know that they're doing it, like, by not checking in with how you're doing. Like, if you just numb yourself, you won't. I've done it, so I'm like, that's my experience too. Like, I numbed myself for a while, but when I really started checking in, that was like, I got back into journaling again, which is always a healthy habit for me, but got back into journaling. I started putting myself around people that, like, thought very differently than me, instead of just surrounding myself with the same people who agree with me, and that was huge. I started working in the summers. I was working with high schoolers and, like, middle schoolers. If you want your life to change, if you want to encounter fresh perspectives on life, that you just really, or you want to see life for what it really is again, I work with spend time with young people. Yeah, I think the questions they asked me, especially because that was like a religious camp, a religious space, when they're asking me like the hardest theological questions, the hardest questions about life at its core, where they're like, you know, like, what do you think about, you know, or what do you think God thinks about this? I'm like sitting there like, I've never even asked myself that, and I should know that at this age. And I do think if I had to pin it down to one thing, spending time with those kids and like getting their questions and learning from them. I'm like, they were like 13, 14. But that was when I had a really stark shift in the way I thought about God, the way I thought about myself, the way I thought about what I wanted for them. Because I looked at them and I thought, I don't want what I'm doing for you. You know, I don't want to preach people pleasing to you. I want to preach freedom to you. And I need to shift myself in order to be able to do that.
No, that's dope. I heard something recently that was saying, it was talking about like the lessons and the benefits of having young people around you is similar to what you just said. Like it'll ground you and it'll humble you to like realize what the is important, you know. Just because of their perspective and their ignorance in some sense, you know.
They're untainted by certain things.
How what are some, I'm trying to figure out how to frame this, like challenges, but how do you, because I've acknowledged and I've recognized that you're very transparent with like mental health and like prioritizing self-care. Like what are some things that you've put into place to keep you like balanced or grounded? I'll just expect it now. It doesn't faze me. I would say I start every sentence with I was like, it's a nice transition. It's a nice natural transition. I think, like I said, journaling before. I think that could also, it looks different for different people. Meditating, like that's a huge, or just being alone with yourself. If like the idea of meditating is like, ooh, like that's a lot, like, which I know for a lot of people, that's a lot. But if you're not alone with yourself, like you won't even know what you need. So I think that mental health wise, that's hard right there. That's a bar. We can revert. Say that again.
If you're not alone with yourself, if you're never alone with yourself, you won't know what you need as a person. Like you won't. That's the thing is, I think especially in our culture of like constantly moving and constantly feeling the pressure to create, to build, to, you know, produce, like
consume.
Like we lose the core parts of ourselves, or we're out of touch with the core parts of ourselves that would allow us to build better and to like really see what we need on the small level. So like with mental health, I think something that's been just like a practical thing that is helpful that I heard on a podcast is that you check in with yourself and be like, what do I need in this moment? So like if I'm about to have a panic attack, which is something that I struggle with, instead of getting frustrated with what's happening, and because anxiety is not necessarily a choice. Panic is something that you can control. So I'm like, don't quote me on that, but like, I'm like, I learned that from a YouTube video, I think. But like, it has, in my experience, been true of like those feelings of anxiety come up, and now instead of just being like, gosh, other people don't get anxious, that's so annoying, like why am I getting anxious, like, oh, I have so many things to do, like I'm just gonna go on TikTok, I'm just gonna, you know, whatever you do to numb, like, or just keep moving even, like, because that's also not helpful in that moment, but just drawing in the small moments and being like, okay, what do I need? Maybe I just need to sit down, take 5 minutes. What's 5 minutes in the scheme of this day? Like, it's nothing. I'm going to, you know, drink some water. Like, I'm gonna lay down, I'm gonna play my ukulele. Like, those are some of the things. Or like journal, like just write it out. Like that in the moment, but also on the large scale of like, it's really important to have like consistent time alone with yourself and consistent intentional time of centering, to be like, why am I here? That's like that's like going really wide, but like, what am I doing? Like, what do I want for my time here? And that's all of that has really, I think there's lots of little things that you can do to help your mental health, but I think the number one thing that has helped me, and I heard this was also kind of a conversation in your last podcast, of like creating and doing the things that you love as healing. And I think if you don't know what you love and you're just going through the motions of life, you can't heal. Like, you're just at that point like damage control, when like the core of the problem is something much larger.
No, absolutely. This done turned into Dr. Phil.
I'm like, that was like way deeper than it needed to be, but
no, it's that's thank you for that.
Of course.
Man, yeah, I don't even know where I want to take it from that. Won't be a break.
While you
Right, yeah, exactly.
while I'm not talking.
Yeah, no, journaling is like something that I recently picked up. I used to go to meditation classes when I was in community college at Berkeley City, and I remember I went to this cafe and they had like this poster for like free meditation classes, and I was like, I'll go to a free meditation class. And it definitely has helped with like just calming my mind and like listening to myself and listening to the higher power, like for like guidance and like just like to calm you know what I'm saying, like calm down, because especially with like social media and just technology, like it's just so easy to just like keep going, you know, and not take that time for yourself. But yeah, I echo everything. I don't want to just repeat everything that you just said, but like definitely the time by yourself, like that was one of the hugest growth periods for me. It was going to community college, like after my high school experience, to like separate myself from like people that I was, you know what I'm saying, associated with, like and it wasn't because any them or anything like that. It was just literally to just figure out who I was and like what I wanted to do and like where I wanted to go in this short period of time that we have on this planet. So no, I appreciate you for talking about that. Man, I'm stuck right now, son. How has photography helped you with that? If it has, I'm sure it has, but
you know, it really has. I think photography is a huge piece of that, or just creating. Like I've dabbled in YouTube for like 2 seconds at the start of the pandemic, but that's just like another example of like a medium. Or like writing for me is also very like, even just like sometimes there was a point where I was occasionally sharing like pieces of journal entries on my account with my photos, and I think that's something I want to take more seriously than I was before. So I'm holding off on that for right now because I want to build something more long lasting with that. But I think any sort of creating, but I guess photography specifically, definitely is a centering act of this feels in line. I think I'm a firm believer that when we're out of line, like we have an innate knowing of like what, and this is, a million people recommend, if you've been around me recently, I can't stop talking about this book. A million people have recommended this book to me called Untamed. Moral of the story, it's just about how it makes the comparison of like a cheetah born in captivity in a cage, and how it has this innate knowing, whether or not it's seen the wild, that it was made for something more than it was, than it's what it's seen. And so I've been really thinking about, and I think this is something that I have thought about before in my life, of like, we have this innate knowing of what we're created for, and that when we're out of line with it, we feel unsettled and we don't know why. But when we're in line with it, everything makes sense. And so when I am taking photos, like, that's when I'm like, that's like peak. I'm in line. I'm like where I'm supposed to be. Like, I'm in line with my innate knowing of what I'm called to. And that's like peace I could never put, I couldn't trade that for anything. Like, I didn't expect to find it like that. So
Word. Yeah. I know what you mean. What are you most proud of at right now in the stage of your life? Maybe not in the stage of your life, but like overall in life. That's a tough question. I honestly don't know what I would probably say.
I'm thinking broadly about it. I think mental health has been really huge for me. Like, I have really been to like the pits of fighting that. So I think, especially lately, like, there's that quote that says like every day something. This was on your story the other day, but my friend sent it to me, like, maybe shout out to Andrea. She's like one of my best friends in the whole world. But it's like every day something tried to kill me and has failed. Yeah. And I think a part of me, or what I'm proud of with myself, is that I'm still kicking, like that I'm still moving, despite the moments that I really thought like I was done for. Like, I really thought that there was nothing more for me. Yeah. Like, the fact that I can like look toward my future and be excited about what's coming next, or like the like logistically, but also like theoretic, like the unknown. Like, I'm now instead of dreading the unknown, there's been a big shift into like being excited for it, and that's something I'm really proud of that. With like, that took a lot of help from friends and family of holding me in those places, and I could not do it without them. And that's back to like, we're not created to go at it alone, but it also takes, I think, choosing healing and choosing yourself and choosing, the hard things sometimes. And all of those in culmination has like led me to like where I am now, which is like with a more specific view of what I want to do in my future. So yeah, that's what I'm most proud of.
No, thank you. What 2 questions, you can decide which one you want to take first. What are you most looking forward to? It's basically in the same vein of what you just said. What are you most looking forward to? And then lastly, what would you like your work to be known for after you go on to the next life? Yeah,
the next thing. that thing that comes next.
We all do.
Yeah,
we're talking about death.
Yeah. If that wasn't clear for those of you who were unsure. I think I'm most excited for, I think, being able to build something, because I've been doing photography for a long time, but I've been just trying to fit it into the cracks of my life, if that makes sense. Yeah. So like, okay, I'm doing this other thing, like I'm in school, and this is in the crack of like where I can fit it. Like, I'm working, and this is in the crack of where I can fit that. And like, I think going forward, I am really excited to be able to be like, this is like the main thing that I'm pursuing, in a sense. I mean, I'm pursuing multiple things, but being able to build something that lasts. And I guess that's, I mean, with where I'm going, like with schooling, with like my next move of going to school for divinity, and which is, I mean, I feel like I love asking these kind of questions of like the big questions of like, why are we here? What are we doing here? Like, and that's what that degree program really helps you flesh out for yourself and others. But also tying that into art. Like, I really think, I don't know, I see something on the horizon where I'm just like, I don't know what it is, but I'm excited to just move in that direction and see it take shape. And your other question, what I would want my work to be known for. I would love for my work to be known for being authentic, like for being like not for anybody else other than like not in the selfish sense of like it's just for me, but like in the sense of that I want to be able to have work that empowers other artists to not compromise and like not assimilate like we were talking about. I want to be able to actually not just say that but live into it and be like, I chased what I believed in and I chased what I wanted to create, and so can you don't have to assimilate. And so that's what I'm doing it for the youngins, the ones coming after us. Yeah, I love them. yeah
Definitely.
yeah
I certainly appreciate you coming all the way out here today.
Of course.
Before I leave and before you leave tomorrow, but as well as moving across the country.
Yeah.
That's your piece, so I'll let you.
Okay, yeah, I haven't announced it to. I actually don't even know if I'm going to like big announce it. So here it is.
Wow.
Here it is right now. What I do today, actually, yesterday, at probably around 1, I put down my deposit.
Wow.
And accepted my offer to Yale. Woo! For my Master's of Divinity, which is a very niche degree, but it's a program where you study spirituality, religion, theology, and it ties in with whatever kind of track you're going in life. So there's people who have MDivs that's the like shortened version of it. There's people who have MDivs in like all areas. You would be surprised to know like certain people that have them, that are in different, I don't know, I'm like arenas. I'm not sure what the right word is, but like business, like politics, like all of those things. And so being able to really study and like take seriously, and because I think that this is just another part of me of growing up religious and growing up and still being a very, very spiritual person. I think that we can mess up religion really easily, and we can mess up spirituality, and it really does. We can miss the point really easily, and it does at our core, at everything's core, there's, I believe, in something greater, like in a creator that created this. And that influences my work. So being able to actually study it and help alleviate or be proactive in holding back, or be proactive in not causing more hurt through those structures and systems of like church. And that's like something that I'm really interested in studying. And I think that even a lot of the assimilating that I did was influenced by what I spiritually believed of being nothing, or being nothing without God, which I mean, it's a long road to go down. You can go really far down there. But being told certain things in religion that I don't think are necessarily true of how God looks at us, and that influenced a lot of what I did in my life or how I acted. And so kind of unlearning those things, and being able to apply them to and whatever I end up formally doing, but helping others also find that freedom of being able to do that too, to reclaim their relationships with God, or their relationships with the creator. I don't know.
Definitely.
Yeah,
man.
it's a lot.
It is.
Yeah.
Well, again, you have my support with everything that you do, and I'm super proud of you. Super grateful for you again today, being a guest and sharing your experience and your lessons and a little bit about your day. So best of luck to you.
Thank you.
Going to Connecticut, and thank you. But we'll continue this conversation and have you on again. But thanks, dude.
Of course.
For sure. Is there anything else you want to say, or are we good?
I'm just thankful to be here, and in general, and thankful that you guys are watching.
Straight up. For real.
Keep watching. It's only going to get bigger from here. I believe that. So,
Thank you.
of course.
Thank you. All right.